Hey, my name is Kat.
And I'm Lee.
And welcome to the
Wildly Wealthy Life podcast. In this show, we explore the journey of what it means to live a truly exceptional and fulfilling life.
Each episode focuses on how a foundation of brilliant minds and brave hearts nurtured through the arts leads to lifelong success.
Get inspired with actionable tips to foster a growth mindset, leadership values, and creativity in children and adults, turning their potential into lasting contributions for their communities.
We hope that you embrace the challenge to shift your perspective as we equip you and the next generation for a
wildly wealthy life.
Hey, my name is Kat, and welcome to another episode of Wildly Wealthy Life. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of coaching and intentional deep work. And I'm not talking about really hiring a coach. This is not about that. So trust me, you can do live coaching on your own self. Obviously, it helps to have a coach, but if that's something that's not aligned with your values and your needs, you can do this yourself. And I want to start by, busting a myth of, hey, someday we'll just grow out of it, right? Like with enough time, this myth of like, well, time can heal all wounds, or time, with time we'll get more confident. With time we'll understand our value. I understand that time is an element, and yes, there are certain things I did not understand when I was a 20-year-old versus with time now in my 40s, I completely understand why I had to go through that or why things didn't pan out the way I needed it to be at that time, right? So time is an element, but without intentional deep work, the things that we think we're going to just grow out of will actually never happen. So for example, avoiding hard conversations. We think that with time, we'll just get better at speaking up and we'll build the courage at some point to face hard conversations. But that doesn't always happen. This pattern of comparing ourselves to others, sometimes we may think that, hey, once I really find what I'm good at, once I really find kind of like my home, like my tribe, and like how I really, my belongingness in this world, I will no longer compare myself to others. And that is not true. This habit of believing that you're not creative enough, or you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not intelligent enough, and that's how I've always been, right? These labels will become permanent unless you actually change them. The habit of quitting when things get hard, right? I don't think I really need to explain that, but basically at the moment something gets tough, you just say, I quit, right? The habit of seeking external validation, never really seeing your worth until someone else validates it for you. And so I think we get the gist here, right? These are all patterns of our minds and, our mindset and what we think about ourselves. It always goes back to that. And when they are left uncoached and when they are left, just kind of like running free in our minds, right? They really become who we are. They become how we do life. And we're not going to be able to rise up and really be the person we're meant to be in this world, in your own relationships, in your own workplace, in your own business, if you have your own business, whatever that is for you. If we don't understand our mind patterns and how we can actually, kind of snap out of it and interrupt that pattern and really find a way to go away from those patterns, it is just not going to work. We're not going to grow out of it because our minds are pattern seeking devices, and our brain wants to basically go to the pattern that is the easiest. And so if we don't build new neural pathways so that our minds can think differently, we're always going to think the same way we've always thought. When President Roosevelt passed away in his sleep, they found a book under his pillow, proof that even in his final moments, he never stopped learning. That's what true leaders do. Leaders are readers. If you want to grow your mindset, sharpen your skills, and become a better leader, reading is essential. I've compiled my top book recommendations, books I've personally read and applied in both business and life. These books have transformed the way I think, lead, and live. So, are you ready to grow? Check out my book list at wildlywealthylifepodcast.com/mytools and grow 1% better every day. I think that in this day and age, there is not a lack of self-help books, right? And they're really great, but they're only great if we apply them in our lives. And currently, I'm reading a book called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima, and such a beautiful work. And it makes you go through some deep work because it asks you a lot of questions. So, my encouragement for you today is, whatever it is that you are struggling with, if you don't want to, get a coach that can help you with that, go find a book that can help you and do some deep work, and maybe find another friend that can just help you go through it with you. Read the book together, and maybe answer the questions together, and discuss them. Right? There's power in sharing and in that vulnerability. And for me, I love the work that I get to do with the kids because this coaching is so intentional and it's focused work, right? We are working on music, yes, musical skills, but we're also working on understanding how our practice at the piano literally mirrors exactly what our brains need to do to be able to understand what our thought patterns are, right? So in our program, right, we celebrate real wins. But to get those real wins, we go through frustration. We go through meltdowns, and we normalize them. We talk about them, and it's going to be okay, right? It's part of the process. The idea here is to understand that they happen, and understand, okay, well, what are our triggers when those things are happening, and then how can we next time when that happens, how can we next time understand the tools that we actually have in our hand so that we can prevent that from happening. And so this is such exciting work that I get to do this with kids and in an online space, which is awesome because that means kids from around the world can have access to this. But as I said, whether you're doing this for yourself as an adult, or you're doing this because you also want to impact the kids around you, whether you're a parent or an aunt, an uncle. I always say that because I'm not a parent, but I'm an educator, and I really, really love being able to impact kids and how their minds work. It is a privilege and an honor, right, for us to be able to do this. And so I hope that this episode just really inspires you to dig deep into your own mindset patterns. What are some of the patterns that don't serve you, and into becoming the best person that you can be in your personal life, in your work life, in your friendships, and all of that. Because I really truly believe that for me, a wildly wealthy life is showing up as 100% the full version of who we are in our circles, in our places of influence. And so, yeah, I hope this episode helps. And, if you are a parent and you have children and you want them to get into some deep mindset work at a young age, hit me up, because that's the power of intentional coaching, right? With a coach doing focused work, they can actually learn this at a very young age and be able to grow into more resilient, more beautiful human beings who really believe in who they are. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, friends, that's a wrap on today's episode of Wildly Wealthy Life. We hope you're feeling fired up and ready to take on the world with your brilliant mind and brave heart.
If you love this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. It helps us keep bringing you the good stuff.
And hey, while you're at it, drop us a rating or review. It takes 30 seconds, and it makes a huge difference for us.
Also, if you know someone who could use a little guidance on growth mindset, leadership, and creativity, share this episode with them. Sometimes that one conversation can spark up a whole new direction.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Go out there, live wildly, be wealthy in all the ways that matter to you, and we'll catch you on the next one.